Good morning. How are you all today? Thank you all for visiting with us. Blessings to you and your family and friends. We're continuing our studies from the book of 2 Samuel, and today we're in chapter 2, and the subject being the second anointing, David's second anointing as king of Israel. Now, his first anointing was by Samuel the prophet in 1 Samuel chapter 16. And before it's over, David will be anointed 3 separate times. But this is the second anointing. And so we're in 2 Samuel chapter 2. And it came to pass after the events about Saul and his sons dying, and it came to pass after this that David inquired of the Lord, saying, shall I go up into any of the cities of Judah? Because remember, he was in Ziklag. So this is a prayer David is praying, asking the Lord for direction. And the Lord said unto him, go up. So you're going back to Jerusalem. And David said, whither shall I go up? And the Lord said, unto Hebron, which means alliance. Verse 2, so David went up there or thither, and his 2 wives also, Ahinoam the Jezreelitess, and Abigail, Nabal's wife, the Carmelite. Verse 3, and his men that were with him did David bring up, every man with his household, and they dwelt in the cities of Hebron. Now, these are the men that fought with him and lost everything in chapter 1, but they are now getting ready to go back to a city in the Jerusalem area, but this time he's going up first to Hebron, verse 2, and you'll see that play out later in the chapter. So David went up thither, and his 2 wives also, Ahinoam and the Jezreelitess, and Abigail, Nabal's wife, the Carmelite. Verse 3, and I'm reading the same 2 verses, but I'm going to go on with it. And his men that were with him did David bring up, every man with his family, and they dwelt in the cities of Hebron. And the men of Judah came there, and the men of Judah came, and there they, the men of Judah, anointed David king over the house of Judah. But the house of Judah is only one part of the tribe. And Saul's general was Abner. And we'll see how that plays out. And they told David, saying, the men of Judah told David, saying, that the men of Jabesh Gilead were they that buried Saul. And those were named, this event was named in 1 Samuel chapter 31, verses 11 through 13. Verse 5, and David sent messengers unto the men of Jabesh Gilead, and said unto them, blessed be ye of the Lord, that ye have showed this kindness unto your Lord, that is King Saul, even unto Saul, and have buried him. So David appreciates those of Jabesh Gilead. And these people were on the east side of the Jordan River. Jabesh Gilead is the whole area of the Amorites that Reuben, Gad, and the half tribe of Manasseh wanted to live in. And those men came when they heard Saul had been killed and what the Philistines had done. And so David is now appreciating them in chapter 5, verse 6. And now the Lord show kindness and truth unto you. And I also will requite or repay you this kindness, because you have done this thing. Verse 7. Therefore now let your hands be strengthened, and be valiant or brave, for your master Saul is dead, and also the house of Judah have anointed me king over them. But now these other 11 tribes will come into picture. Verse 8. But Abner, the son of Ner, captain of Saul's hosts, took Ishbosheth, the son of Saul, and brought him over to Mahanaim. Verse 9. And made him king over Gilead, and over the Asherites, and over Jezreel, and over Ephraim, over Benjamin, and over all Israel. Now the kingdom will be divided under King Solomon, but right now they're already divided in their hearts. So Abner, verse 8, is the general of King Saul's army. So now Abner is going to take the initiative to make Saul's son the king. And so he takes him to this place, Mahanaim. Verse 10, Ishbosheth, Saul's son, was 40 years old when he began to reign over Israel, and reigned 2 years. But the house of Judah followed David. So men are following David, and they are following a descendant of kings. Others are following King Saul and his descendants. And the time that David was king in Hebron over the house of Judah was 7 years and 6 months, 7.5 years. Verse 12, and Abner, the son of Ner, and the servants of Ishbosheth, the son of Saul, went out from Mahanaim to Gibeon. Verse 13, and Joab, the son of Zeruiah, and the servants of David went out and met together by the pool of Gibeon. So these are two factions in the same area. And they sat down, the one on the one side of the pool and the other on the other side of the pool, that is the pool of Gibeon. Now Joab is the general of David's army. He's not at this time, but he will be soon. And so Abner said, verse 14, so Abner said to Joab, let the young men now arise and play before us. And Joab said, let them arise. But they're really play before him as they stage a fight against each other. And Joab agreed and said, let them arise. Verse 15. Then there arose and went over by number 12 of Benjamin, which belong or pertain to Ishbosheth, the son of Saul, and 12 of the servants of David. Verse 16. And they caught every one his fellow by the head, and thrust his sword in his fellow's side, that is the other group, one side against another. So they fell down together. Wherefore That place was called Helkath Huzarim, which is in Gibeon, and that's the field of swords where they killed each other. They fought against each other. Verse 17. And there was a very severe, a great battle that day. And Abner was beaten, and the men of Israel before the servants of David. So David's servants won the fight. Verse 18. And there were 3 sons of Zeruiah there, Joab and Abishai and Asahel. And Asahel was as light of foot as a wild roe or deer. He is a fast runner. Zeruiah is one of David's sister. He had another sister named Abigail. Verse 19. And Asahel pursued after Abner, and in going he turned not to the right hand nor to the left from following Abner. He kept his eyes on Abner. Verse 20. Then Abner looked behind him and said, Art thou Asahel? And he answered, I am. Verse 21. And Abner said unto him, Turn thee aside to the right hand or the left, and lay thee hold on one of the young men, and take thee his armor. But Asahel would not turn aside from following him. Verse 22, and Abner said unto Asahel, Turn thee aside from following me. Wherefore should I smite thee to the ground? How then should I hold up my face to Joab, your brother? And so this is David's nephew. That is Asahel. They are his sister Zeruiah's children. However, in verse 23, howbeit he refused to turn aside. Wherefore Abner, with the hinder end of the spear, smote him under the 5th rib. And the 5th rib is the chest cavity that covers the heart. Under the 5th rib that the spear came out behind him, and he fell down there and died in the same place. And it came to pass that as many as came to the place where Asahel fell down and died stood still. So they would just look at him, but he was dead. Verse 24. Joab also, that would be Asahel's brother, and Abishai, his other brother, pursued after Abner. And the sun went down when they were come to the hill of Ammah, that lieth before Giah by the way of the wilderness of Gibeon. Verse 25. And the children of Benjamin gathered themselves together after Abner, and became one troop, and stood on the top of an hill. Verse 26. So they were following Ishbosheth, but now they're following Abner. Then Abner called to Joab and said, Shall the sword devour forever? Knowest thou not that it will be bitterness in the latter end? How long shall it be then before thou bid the people return from following their brethren? Verse 27. And Joab said, As God liveth, unless thou hadst spoken, surely then in the morning the people had gone up every one from following his brother. If you had not spoken to me, then my men would be fighting all night. Verse 28. So Joab blew a trumpet, and all the people stood still. and pursued after Israel no more, neither fought they any more. Verse 29. And Abner and his men walked all that night through the plain and passed over Jordan and went through all Bithron, and they came to Mahanaim. Verse 30. And Joab returned from following Abner. And when he had gathered all the people together, there lacked of David's servants 19 men and Asahel. Verse 32. But the servants of David, verse 31, but the servants of David had smitten of Benjamin and of Abner's men, so that 360 men died. So David's men lost 20 people, and Abner's men lost 360 men. Verse 32. And they took up Asahel and buried him in the sepulchre of his father, which was in Bethlehem. And Joab and his men went all night, and they came to Hebron at the break of day. And that was where they were living at that time, in Hebron. So, what do y'all think? Let me know by email or YouTube. You all have a great day and a great week. Bye.